Excel is a really robust program that lets you make all sorts of documents, lists of names and addresses, budgets, timesheets, expense reports, pivot tables. The list goes on of things you can do in Excel. When you first open up Excel, you see a blank spreadsheet. At the top, we can see that there are columns going up and down. The column headings are A, B, C, and so on. And there are rows going across. The row headings are numbers, starting with row number 1. It's kind of like when you're downtown in some cities, and there's A Street, B Street, C Street going north and south, and 1st Avenue, 2nd Avenue, 3rd Avenue going east and west. In a city, those streets and avenues meet at an intersection. Here in Excel, columns and rows meet in what's called a cell. So again, a cell is where a column and a row intersect, and each cell gets its own unique address, as it were. The cell right here where I'm clicking is cell B3, and I can tell that it's B3 in one of two ways. I can see that column B is highlighted and row number 3 is highlighted, but I can also tell by looking up here in the upper left in the name box where it says B3. If I click on cell D4, I can see that in the name box it now says D4. I can use this name box to actually type a new cell address and it'll take me there. So for example, I'm going to type G39. And as soon as I hit enter, I've now been taken to cell G39. If I want to go back to D4, all I have to do is type D4 in the name box, and it doesn't have to be capital D, lowercase is fine, and I'm taken back to D4. Once you start using Excel to do math, you'll use these cell addresses in your formulas. In case you were wondering, after you get to Z in the columns, it starts over with AA, AB, AC, and so on, and it keeps going. I could type something like QRS 1234 in the name box and it'll take me there. So now I'm really far away and I want to get back to where I started in the spreadsheet. There are a few shortcuts to do this. The first one is to hold down the Control key and then hit the Home key on your keyboard. It should be in that same group with the Insert and the Delete key. Another way is to just type A1 in the name box. And now I'm back at the beginning of my spreadsheet. Once I click on a cell, you'll see that it gets this dark green box around it. That means that this cell has been selected. It's now the active cell. And that means that if I start typing, whatever I type is going to go into this cell. I'll type something short, like June, for example. And when I hit the Enter key, notice that the active cell has now moved down one. So I'll type July, and I'll hit Enter again and type August. Hitting the Enter key moves us down a cell, and hitting the Tab key moves us to the right. At the top of the screen, we have the ribbon. The ribbon is made up of different buttons of various things that you can do in Excel. The different buttons are grouped together by theme, as it were. So, for example, the Insert tab has different types of things you can put into your spreadsheet, and the Page Layout tab, for the most part, is about how your spreadsheet looks. You'll likely be spending a lot of your time in the Home tab, which houses many of the most frequently used commands in Excel. Another popular tab is the File tab. This is where you would come to save your file, or if you wanted to open a new file. To make a new file, you click on New, and then for a blank workbook, just click on the picture of the blank workbook. And we can see that a new blank workbook has been opened up.